Hello my SAAB friends, my name is Gary and this is my channel Weakest of Weeks. If you're a first time viewer, I appreciate you clicking on the video and definitely consider subscribing because I have a ton of how-to stuff out there and especially SAAB related videos. Today, unfortunately, I sort of have an issue which it's kind of a bummer. While I was driving, I heard this rattling noise coming from the trunk area of my 2008 SAAB 93 Aero, my daily driver laser red one here. And well, when I bought the car, it had what's called a Hirsch replica spoiler on it. And it kind of, I guess, gives it more of an aggressive look. Some people don't like it because it is definitely far from the original if it had a spoiler. The one on my 07 I used to have was just kind of this tiny little lip spoiler, nothing compared to this thing, but I really like how it gives that aggressive look and how it sticks out. Well, like I said, I was driving and unfortunately I heard this rattling noise. I pulled over and come to find out, well, the glue, the double-sided tape, and anything else holding this thing on was coming loose. So fortunately, while I was driving, it didn't eject and hit somebody or some vehicle or something. So I'm very fortunate I caught it just in time. And now it has me questioning how I am going to refasten this. But we're gonna start with cleaning up this rear end because it is rather dirty. And well, let's go ahead and get started. So here's a spoiler off my 9.3. It is a Hirsch replica spoiler, I believe. I don't think it's the authentic deal, but as you can see here, there's a bunch of double-sided tape, some real hard glue of some sort that obviously didn't hold. I'm kind of shocked that there's no bolt holding this on, so I may go about putting some riv nuts in here and drilling some holes in my trunk to hopefully fix this thing, but we shall see. Main goal right now is to remove this double-sided tape, remove this epoxy as best as possible. And I'm kind of curious, it looks like there may be a part number here, maybe a part number here. Once I clean off some of this stuff, to bounce that number off an actual Hirsch spoiler to see if this is the real deal. Highly doubt it. I think it is a replica. Regardless, it's going back on the car, so I need to clean all this crap off. And to do such, I have a trim removal tool, I have a flat blade screwdriver, some shop towels, along with some Goo Gone, to hopefully easily remove this double-sided tape as best as possible. So here you have it. We're halfway through this removal process. This black epoxy stuff is not as hard as I thought it would be to remove. We'll just keep working at this thing to get the other half done. This is the aftermath, a whole bunch of double-sided tape, leftover chunks of that epoxy. This Goo Gone I have everywhere. I mean, I made a mess of this, and this, quite honestly, if I didn't time-lapse it, would have been a good 35 minutes of just me peeling all this stuff off. So you're welcome for that. I do have some remnants of this epoxy left on here, which is no big deal because it's actually quite flat, and I may actually hit that with a Scotch-Brite or something to scuff it up. But something I found very fascinating, and I'll go slowly, see if you caught it. All right, I'll stop teasing. Look at that. So there's some writing here. We'll go over. Now, what does that say? Can you make that out? Hirsch Performance. How incredible is that? Now, there's a couple other part numbers here. There's that one, I'm not entirely sure. There is the main one right here, and I think this is what's going to identify this spoiler for me. F859003500. A little difficult to make out, but I believe that's what that number is. But I'm going to look online, see what I can find. Now there is this identifier as well. Now I imagine this is probably something as far as like a date code, but with this big glob of epoxy over top of here, I don't think we'll yield anything out of that, and anything else on here is kind of just faded away. So what I'm basing my authentication for my spoiler is on the internet. Now a quick search yielded this one for sale, 428 pounds, which the US conversion at this point in time, $596. Insane. This one has a part number, so it has that, but that one's kind of hard to see. Same thing on my spoiler, but the one that is the defining part number, which gives me hope, is this number right here, the F859003500 number. Now, mine also has this as well, but it's kind of hard to see just with all the epoxy and stuff that was over top of that, but this is kind of crazy. That, as well as that Hirsch Performance inlay on the inside of that spoiler. I would have to say mine is just like this one, and it's authentic. Now, I am a skeptic. I am not 100% positive, and it really doesn't change anything for me other than the fact that I'm definitely happy that it didn't blow away or eject off the back of my car while I was driving. But this price, insane. So here is the aftermath after the spoiler came off. Not too terrible. It is extremely filthy. I don't know how long the spoiler was on because I did buy the car with it on, but you can see all this filth here. That's going to get knocked off and cleaned up. There is remnants of the double-sided tape here, as well as some sort of a epoxy glue of some sort. I don't know. This stuff I'm not really too worried about. I just want to get it flat because I don't think I'll be able to really get this stuff off. But the spoiler is going directly right back in its exact same spot. So as long as this is flat and clean, we should be able to get good adhesion. Now, a point of mention as well is I'm sure it will upset some SAAB purists, but I decided I'm actually going to be debadging the Arrow emblem as well as the 9.3 emblem here. I think it's a great opportunity to do such because the wing kind of in the way makes it hard to get in behind here. Actually, I do have a new one of these on the way. I know in like 2012 or so, they have a Griffin style where it's actually just this bar, but I believe there's still like 2 holes or something in behind here. I prefer this kind of round emblem style. And the version that I went with is just pretty much the same exact thing, just black. Doesn't say SAAB, it's just a big Griffin emblem. So there's nothing that'll jump out and say SAAB 9.3 Arrow anymore. I'm not going to worry about that. All that stuff is going to go. We're going to clean up all this trash on the deck lid here and figure out what epoxy or what double-sided tape or whatever method we plan to affix the original spoiler on here. But I'll quit rambling. Let's go ahead and clean this up. For starters, we're going to hit the emblems and soak them in some Goo Gone. So normally I would say you'd use a heat gun or have this bake in the sun, then get some fishing line, something along those lines, and kind of hacksaw behind here. But because this has been soaking in the Goo Gone and I have that eraser wheel, I think I'm just going to try to remove these with my hands, and if not, then I'll use a trim removal tool. But we'll see how far we get with just using my fingernails. This is where we're at right now. Spent a little time debadging and cleaning things up. The black gunk, that's not going to come off. I'm just going to live with that. Spoiler's going to cover that up, no big deal. But overall, I'm pretty pleased with that, how it turned out. What I ended up using, the Goo Gone to soak the emblems, my meat sticks to pull these things off. Actually wasn't too difficult. That eraser wheel, this actually worked out pretty good. Smells kind of interesting as you use it. I have a foam pad left over from a headlight restoration kit that I can link in the description. And this I had laying around, just some heavy cut cleaner. But overall, this is exactly the look that I'm going for. Obviously minus all that black trash, but the spoiler, that'll go right on top there and it will look pretty good. But that's gonna wrap it up for tonight. I'll actually pick the video up tomorrow. So it's actually a month later from when this spoiler fell off my vehicle, and the reason why I haven't attached this was a couple different reasons. One being, I wanted to source the correct thing to mount this spoiler back onto the trunk lid. And also 2, once I found the correct product, well, it does in fact have a certain cure time. So the thing is, what I picked up and what is recommended is this, and I'm probably going to butcher the name, Sikaflex 221. I guess it's a popular thing in the RV world, so if you have a recreational vehicle location near you that sells and services RV, you may be able to get one of these local to you, but for me, where I live, Amazon is the easiest thing to get and typically the cheapest thing. So I found this black version of this 221 Sikaflex on Amazon, and I got it for roughly $12, 2-day shipping, shipped to my door. There is a white and an aluminum version, or aluminium for my friends over across the pond, but basically the aluminium or the aluminum version is just silver. So this one is black. That's what was on here originally. That's what I believe Hirsch calls for when it comes to attaching it. Now, the limitation comes with the temperature. That's the reason why I am filming this segment of the video 1 month later, because it needs a cure time of roughly 7 days at 73 degrees Fahrenheit, or that's roughly 23 degrees Celsius. Now, I am in the United States, in Ohio, where the past month it has been far from 73 degrees Fahrenheit. So finally, we're at the stage where I'm comfortable with reattaching this spoiler and that it will be 73 degrees or higher. So let's go ahead and finally bust this open and refasten the spoiler that fell off almost a month ago. Gonna take some of this tape, put it on the top of the spoiler and trunk lid, and then we should be pretty well aligned and ready to glue. Got the Sikaflex, just kind of stab a hole in here. This black tar looking silicone crap. Now, really hope I don't make a mess. An important mention is I am actually using painter's masking tape, and you can use a bunch of different tapes. Whatever you do, please avoid duct tape. That's going to leave way too much sticky residue behind. Something like painter's tape, it's not going to harm the paint, and it's not going to leave a bunch of sticky residue behind that you'll have to clean up later. I'm going to add a little bit of weight to the edges of each side and let this thing sit, like I said, for 7 days. Alright, so here are the 2.5 pound weights. I'm just gonna delicately set them on each end here. And I have, of course, the microfiber towels holding it down, but like I said, we'll give it 7 days, remove all this stuff, and see how well this holds. So it wouldn't be my luck without losing something else off my SAAB. This is actually the roof spoiler off, obviously, my laser red arrow, the one that we are reattaching the Hirsch trunk spoiler to. And while I was waiting for that trunk spoiler to dry, I took a look at this roof spoiler that I put on it roughly 3 years ago and realized it's actually extremely loose. At any given moment, this too could have flown off. I'm very pleased with the quality of this. I purchased this roof spoiler, I want to say roughly 3 years ago when I bought the car, and it's like this rubber. As you can see, it's extremely flexible, and the paint and everything is actually extremely well for what you pay for it. I think I spent like 50-60 bucks on it, shipped off eBay a couple years ago. Unfortunately, the downside was the double-sided tape. So while I was waiting for the trunk spoiler to dry, took a look at this, realized how loose it was, peeled it off, cleaned it up. Now we're on to fixing it with some better double-sided tape. Went to my local hardware store, picked up some of this Gorilla mounting tape. This is the heavier duty stuff. It claims 1 pound per 2 inches, and I can guarantee it's much sturdier than the other tape that was on here previously. Still plenty left for other projects. size and thickness of this tape actually worked out perfectly fitting underneath here. Now we're ready to reattach this roof spoiler. Kind of funny, after having it on the car for roughly 3 years, what the car looks like without it. I think it totally transforms the look of the vehicle. So let me know if you like roof spoilers or you think they're silly. It's something that's so insignificant compared to other stuff. Clearly the Hirsch trunk spoiler makes a bigger statement. It's a little more aggressive, but this is a little more subtle. Either way, I love both having the roof spoiler and the Hirsch trunk spoiler, so I'm going to go ahead and reattach this and hopefully line it up as best as possible. I will say I made one giant mistake. I ended up ripping off the entire film, exposing the sticky side, when in fact just rip a small section off of it, and then once you're happy with the alignment, then slowly peel and work your way down to the other end. I admittedly got a little excited, and I find it oddly satisfying to rip this off, double-sided tape. I don't know, it's kind of a weird thing. But yeah, definitely start at one end and slowly work your way to the other. So it's officially been 7 days since we re-glued on this spoiler, and now we're ready to take off this tape. So that is going to wrap it up on today's video of the reinstallation of my surprisingly authentic Hirsch trunk lid spoiler, as well as the El Cheapo eBay roof spoiler. And you can't forget about the debadging. Now, in my honest opinion, I love a debadged look. I think it looks so clean, but I would love to hear from my SAAB friends down in the comments section whether you prefer something along the lines of a nice clean look, or are you more of a SAAB purist and prefer the original SAAB emblem. So let me know in the comments section down below. Now I'm excited to announce I have a couple very cool mods coming, at least in my opinion. First one being new emblems, new blacked out Griffin emblems, one for the trunk, one for the hood. I believe in an upcoming video I'll be repainting this trunk trim piece, possibly the fog light surrounds up front, more of a graphite Turbo X color. I've waited on these for a while. These came from Portugal, as well as my favorite modification that I've been wanting to do for months is a more aggressive diffuser. And obviously it's going to look entirely different. Once this original one is removed, it'll be more upright, but that gives you some form of an idea of what this thing's going to look like. So I don't know when I will get to the install on this. Hopefully soon. I have a couple different videos already lined up before I go ahead and install this. I don't know when I'll get to that video, so be sure to subscribe to see that. And of course, if you like this particular video, be sure to like. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, drop a comment down below, and I'll catch you friends next time.